So it is 15th of August 2022, and we have here in the studio as guest Jenny, originally from the United States of America, and somehow you ended up living in Helsinki, Finland, and now somehow you have ended up visiting also Ivalo, and you've been here now 2 days. And what have you been doing here? What's the first impressions?
Well, I came to visit my friend.
Ausra, who was
Ausra.
actually the last guest on this podcast.
Oh, really?
You flew from Helsinki
Yes,
to
to Ivalo.
Ivalo, okay?
Yeah, so I came to visit her, and I think, the first 2 days in Ivalo, we stayed in the cabin. So I got to experience is it mykki?
Yes,
Life a
we
little.
talked about the cabin in the Ausra's podcast. The cabin without electricity and water, running water.
So, I got to experience that and also dive into some berry picking, the fresh blueberries out in the forest and everything.
So it's been good so far. And what are you are going to stay longer?
I'm actually leaving tomorrow. Yeah.
Did you also go to the lake? And
Yeah, we got to drive around quite a bit. We drove up to Inari as well, and got to see the museum and like a little bit of the lake. Yeah.
How you liked the Sida?
The Sida. It was really cool. I liked it. I liked the outdoor museum part. They had like the old houses and a lot of the hunting traps and things.
Traditional Sami people buildings and stuff. So I was thinking we could walk through your path from living in United States. Actually, you moved to Helsinki from Canada.
I did, yeah.
So let's start from the moment when just before you ended up planning moving to Helsinki. What was happening in your life back then?
So I was working on finishing my master's, and so was my husband.
And when was it? And when was it? It was year ago, 2 years ago.
So I came to Helsinki about 1 year ago, almost exactly. Just
okay, so we are talking about 2021.
Yes, in 2021. So I was finishing my master's. My husband was also finishing his master's, both in Canada, in Vancouver, British Columbia. And he was looking forward to doing a doctorate in his field and was applying to, a few different programs. And one of those, and I remember one day he sat down, he's like, what do you think about Finland? He's like, there's a professor there that, works in my area and I'd like to work with him maybe. So he's like, I can apply. So that was kind of like how the seed of coming to Finland started.
And from the seed to actually doing it, like the process, like what did you do? Like was it a lot of paperwork and what kind of planning? And it was
a lot less paperwork than I thought it would be, actually. But maybe my husband had to do most of it because he had to fill out his funding paperwork and actually get accepted for the PhD here. So
it was like studying permit or work permit or something like that.
Yeah, I think is it like a research? It's under some sort of researcher permit or
You wanna tell what kind of research he's doing?
Yeah, I probably won't tell it very well, but he does like AI research. I think he is funded through the Finnish Center for Artificial Intelligence, FKI. And he does a lot of reinforcement learning for various things. Like some things it was about teaching some digital characters how to walk, like they like can learn. He like gives them rewards or something, and like they learn to walk. They do different things. He was doing some pool table problem for the past year. Various things. A lot of machine learning, AI, all that tech jargon.
And then what are you doing there in Helsinki?
That has been the question this past year.
So
so my background, my master's that I was doing and I finished just before coming to Finland was in nursing, but it's a bit difficult to work in nursing here as a foreigner coming. I need to know the language like really, really well to a very high level. So it would take me quite a long time, I think, to achieve it well enough to work in that. So I've been kind of changing my career path is what I've been working on.
Something where you are not required to speak Finnish.
Yeah, I do want to learn Finnish and I'm very slowly learning, but yeah, it's something that is not going to be complete. My employment isn't completely reliant on my ability to speak the language fluently.
And I guess you found some courses to learn Finnish quite easily.
I took some courses. So my husband is doing his PhD at Aalto-yliopisto, and I can take like the language courses they offer there, since he's like considered a staff member as PhD there. I can take the language courses easily, and then some study on my own as well.
So now you are finding your place in Helsinki.
Yeah, I was just accepted to like kind of a coding school, actually.
Coding?
Yeah.
So you are coming to the same profession as your husband?
Kind of. I think he encouraged me in that direction a little bit, but yeah. He kept telling me, I think you'd be really good at this. So I was like, maybe I will try since I'm looking, for something new.
And it would be great because that's kind of a field where you can work very independently. So the language wouldn't be a problem.
Yeah. And if I had maybe some trouble finding a job in Finland, I could maybe try to work remotely for a U.S. company or something. Since I'm U.S. citizen, so.
And have you found easily all kinds of support for all of this, like finding a place to study or a place to work? Like have you felt any difficulties, or did you get help easily?
Do you mean like through the official? Like support or any supports?
Any support, like for finding a place to live, finding all kinds of for all kinds of permits, and was it easy or you've had difficulties?
I think it hasn't been so difficult. I think there may have been some waiting involved. I think like for our permits to come live in Finland, those came quite quickly, actually. But I think it was because my husband was like sponsored as like the researcher. So
Was it like weeks or months?
Like weeks. I think once the paperwork was actually submitted to receive like the residency permits, it was like 2 weeks we had it in the mail.
I'm trying to think like how can we tell something important for other people who want to come and live in Finland. Like what would be the pros and cons to know about? this kind of process?
Yeah. I think it was really helpful for us to have some connection here, someone here to talk to who knew the system. So like I think some people from my husband's workplace where he is now, like were able to kind of point us in the right directions for that. But there was also like the subreddit for like I think is like r/Finland had like really great resources for us to like know which place to go, because it is a little complicated. But I think if you like kind of have like the list of places you need to go and maybe a few people that you can like ask questions to, then it's not so difficult. Like you can get it done. I'm trying to think what was. I think probably the most difficult thing for me was that I didn't have my personal ID code. You know, the henkilötunnis.
Yes.
I think I didn't get that with my residency permit. So that caused some problems. But
And for how long you have now is it like a visa or something like what is the permit called that you can?
I think it's a resident type A permit. Permanent. It says like permanent resident, but I think we have to renew it maybe every 2 years while he's still doing his program. While my husband is doing this program.
And what kind of plan do you have? Are you planning to stay like a couple of years or maybe stay even longer?
It's unknown right now. I think probably just we like it here. I think we do like it here in Finland quite a lot. We'll at least stay until he's done his PhD, which would be at least another 3 years. And then, yeah, we'll have to see at that time if we want to stay or not.
So getting all the paperwork done is relatively easy. So then let's talk about living here. Like, how would you compare living here to like being in United States or Canada? What was the most surprising things when you in your first couple of weeks living in Helsinki?
I think maybe one of the most maybe kind of tied to what we talked about before, but kind of surprising things is how integrated everything is. Like with like the, you know, your bank account with your personal ID number, with you use it to log into everything. Everything's kind of dependent on each other, which can be a little frustrating sometimes, but a little like interesting. It's like, I don't know, it's once it's working really well. It's really nice actually. I think compared to a lot of places in the US where I lived, like the public transit is awesome in Helsinki area. For sure. But even the trains and the buses to come out further from the city are really nice too.
And you can get a card which you can pay the whole year for the public transportation, and then you can just
and I can actually sorry.
Yeah, you can explain it better than I, because I never used it.
Oh no. But yeah, you can use the card, which I mean I've used like the cards in various other places in the world, but I like that you can actually just use the app. You know, you can just keep your ticket on your HSL app and just like show it to the bus driver, or if they come to check your ticket on the metro or something, you can just show your ticket on the app and buy some extra one on there easily. Like if you have a friend that comes and visits you, you can just add their ticket to your thing if you want. So it can be very convenient
and works well, but not here in North. We don't have public transportation here. But
yeah.
So how about finding apartment then?
Yeah. So I think we were looking for apartments before we came to Helsinki, like online, like checking all like the I forget the name of the websites, but just all the different rental websites to see like well, what do these houses look like? And maybe that's something new to here. Like, what's the standard kind of living accommodations and things in Finland, and what should we expect, and what are the prices going to be like? Because in Helsinki it can be quite expensive. So we were like looking a lot at that, and then once my husband actually came a couple weeks before me to Finland, I had to take care of some things, just tying up life things in North America before we came. So he came ahead and looked at some apartments beforehand, and then we actually ended up renting through like a private landlord, not through one of the companies. It was a little easier because we didn't have like all of our official document like numbers and things yet. They didn't come with the residence permit, so you kind of need that personal ID code to do anything, to rent apartment, to make bank account, So working with like the private landlord, we were able to like set it up a little easier. But we got a really nice place.
So the rents are maybe higher. How about other living costs?
Yeah, I think the food is a bit expensive. At least to eat out is definitely expensive in Helsinki area.
Yeah, restaurants in Finland are very expensive. Like, we don't have, I guess, the same kind of culture of eating out. So I guess maybe that could be one reason why it stays expensive.
Yeah, perhaps. I kind of like think in my mind, because the cost of eating out is still like quite high in Vancouver. I was too, but not quite as high as here. But then we're expected to give tips there, right? Yeah. So I'm kind of like, oh well, maybe if I just think about this price as the tip is included already, because they're already paying their servers, a living wage versus like in the US. So I can be like, okay, it's maybe still a little more expensive, but a little more similar if I think about the tip added in.
What kind of things are more cheap here?
More what?
More cheaper.
What's cheaper?
Nothing.
Well, I think public transit might actually be cheaper. I don't know that 100%, but I think it might be cheaper than like Vancouver in Canada. I think that the electricity is cheaper. At least like the bill that we get for our apartment. We have like 2-room, so 1-bedroom apartment in but the electricity was interesting to set up too. Now I'm like, it's coming back to me as we talk. I'm like, that's right. But yeah, I think overall it was cheaper than like say the last house I lived in the US. I think I had to pay like maybe $150 like every month or something for electricity. I don't know. And then here it's like maybe 20 or 30 maybe euros. So it's a lot cheaper.
And how about, do you have in mind any other like systems, things that work here better or worse than in US or Canada?
I mean, the healthcare system here, I think, is so you're waiting for. The healthcare system is perhaps better in some ways. I mean, I think the U.S. basically doesn't have a system. Maybe I'm qualified to say that because I was a nurse in the U.S. So
yes,
I think there's just a complete lack of system there, and it's just all put onto the individuals, and they end up in lots of medical debt. So it is quite nice that maybe it isn't completely free here? Because you still get like the service charge if you go to the health center or something.
Yes, we have to pay a little fee every time we go, but it's up to a limit. So I guess it's around 600-700 euros. That can be the maximum payment in a year for healthcare. I could be wrong, but I guess that's around 600 or 700 euros. So that's the maximum limit you will ever pay in public healthcare. Of course, we also have private healthcare here that you can choose from, but you also get some support to go to private healthcare. Like afterwards you have paid for private healthcare, you can get support back from the government.
And I think I don't qualify for it, but my husband, through his work, like just as doing his PhD, he gets the private healthcare covered. I think they send him for like the yearly checkups and
yes,
all the things.
The healthcare for people who are working is usually arranged from private sector, and the employer pays your healthcare. Like I guess quite always completely. So
yeah, that's interesting because I think before I came, I had a picture that like it was all like public for some reason. But yeah, kind of like in the US, there's kind of an expectation if somebody's working full time, then the employer would provide some healthcare insurance for the workers. So
I guess
a little.
I guess that's one of the biggest benefits of work in the US, if you get the healthcare covered. So okay, I think we can take a break now, and we'll come back soon. That's good. Yep. So we'll be back. So on the break you told me about your studying experience. You went into some kind of program, and tell us about that.
Yeah, I just did what they call the piscine over kind of the month of July. So it's kind of an assessment period for a coding school. It's called the 42 schools. I think you said you hadn't heard about it.
No.
But the first one started in Paris, and it's grown to be quite a big network of schools. But I think the first one, I believe it was the first one in the Nordic countries, is the one that I did mine with, which is in Helsinki. It's called Hive. It's in like Hakaniemi area.
And where does the name 42 come from? Like 42 schools?
Yeah, I think it has to do with Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
Yeah, I was thinking.
Do you know? Yeah, they have throughout their curriculum they have like a lot of references to that. They're like, don't forget your towels, and like thanks for all the fish, and like all this. Swallowed by a black hole. Just little things everywhere.
So you had some kind of selection process.
Yeah, so the piscine, so I guess it's swimming pool in French. So they kind of like say you can swim or you will like drown, basically, one or the other. So it's quite an intense process. So I was kind of like wondering why they have this name for it beforehand. But after going through it, it makes sense. Because so it's like 28 days long, and you go basically every single day. And like including weekends, you don't really have a day off. Maybe one day is a little bit easier than others, but like maybe Sundays are the easiest day. But it's like you have to go in every day, usually about I was there between 11 and 15 hours every day. So made for quite a long day with like I had maybe an hour commute each way. So I basically just go there and I do the exercises and then I go home and I sleep and I get up and I go again.
So it's almost like a military boot camp.
Yeah, kind of, yeah.
And so what does this school prepare you to do after you have finished? How long is it? This is it school like 42 school?
Yeah. So it's school. So the piscine is like kind of an assessment period where they are very cryptic about like what the standard is to be accepted to their school. You don't really know. They say the points don't matter at all. It doesn't matter if you fail like everything. There's still possibility to get in. Once they let you know if you passed or not, then you can decide to accept their offer for the school. So if you pass the piscine, then you can get the offer for entering the school in the fall. And that program is a bit longer and less intense.
Is it also a mystery? What will you be? what you will be studying there?
Well, we'll still be, I think, studying. I mean, it's a coding school, and the piscine is all done in the C language. So it's the for programming C, and that continues. I think it's only C until maybe some very specialized areas, but they have kind of this. It's supposed to be like a gamified curriculum. There's no classrooms, there's no teachers. It's all peer-to-peer learning, and you can kind of choose like what branch you want to do. They call it the inner circle. There's like maybe some common branch you have to complete. You reach the center of the circle, and then you can choose like a specialization. So that there's, I think it's maybe Unix, AI and algorithms, and then a graphics branch, I think. And then maybe there's a specialized one they just recently started here at Hive Helsinki for web development.
It almost sounds like a cult, but I hope it's not.
I know, yeah, it's the inner circle. And then once you reach the edge of the inner circle, then you do your an internship, and then you can access the outer circle. So yeah, it's like it's a bit interesting.
So what are your hopes and dreams like when you will learn coding more? Like what kind of plans do you have? You will you have something in mind? What will you develop?
I'm not 100% sure. I know that I enjoy like the coding and like the things that we did in the piscine. I really like doing that and the problem solving and working, with all the other students to, help learn together. That was really enjoyable. I think I would like to eventually do something related to like the healthcare field, because I did work like as a nurse and like got my master's in nursing, So I think having kind of that healthcare knowledge, maybe that could be helpful in developing some, technology applications in the healthcare sector in the future, perhaps. But I also don't know where the coding journey will take me. So I'm kind of open a little bit.
So you were learning together with the other students. So how many students you had on at your class?
So we started off with 131, I think, is what they had posted was the official number. There were 131 that started in the piscine. I'm not sure how many exactly were accepted for the school in the fall, but
so this number is all the students in all of these schools, or just in Helsinki?
Just Helsinki.
Oh,
yeah. So each school, I think. And they even had a second one that started last week, I think, another piscine. I think they had 150 students for that one, for Hive Helsinki. But yeah, there's some schools all over kind of the world that are having these kind of...
So this is very popular thing. Like So you would recommend this for everybody who is interested in coding? Or it's not for everybody?
I think maybe the style is not for everyone. I think like the first few days of us starting the piscine, I think some people realized the style was not for them, and they just like walked out and quit.
Okay.
But I think for some people it could be really good.
So how would you describe this style?
So it's the peer-to-peer learning style. And really, so the staff at the location, like Hive Helsinki, they really don't teach you anything. They help with like technical problems if the equipment is not working, or if there's an actual error in the like kind of projects that you're assigned. If there's like a problem with those, they will help, but they're not gonna like teach you how to do them at all. You have to figure it out for yourself. Like when the piscine started, literally they took our like photos for like the record, and they were like, okay, the computers are that way, and that's like all the direction we got. We had to figure out how to log into the computers. Where do we find our assignments? Where do we like where are we supposed to look for things? And so like really the learning style was like everyone around you is like as lost as you are, and you're all just helping each other figure it out. And I think that continues in the school a bit. Maybe we're less clueless by that point, but
So what kind of projects have you been working on like so far?
In what context?
Like you had some kind of projects now, and so what kind of things you did?
Oh, in the kind of bootcamp business.
Yes.
So it's designed so you don't have to have any coding background before you come. So I think it's quite difficult for people who don't have any background at all. But they really start you off with basics, just learning like command line, like Unix, shell scripts and things like that. And then they, like I think by the end of the first week, we started actually doing things with C.
Okay, so it's not too demanding. You don't need to be a pro in coding to go there. You can like survive pretty relatively easily if you have even some kind of interest in coding.
I think you can. I think being like more of a fast learner is definitely an asset to be able to keep up, because it is quite like the pace is really fast. So like if you don't really get a concept, you're still going to get tasks assigned. Like they keep coming. They never stop. They just keep coming. The deadlines keep coming. And I think for some people it really did feel a bit overwhelming because they weren't really grasping some things right away. But I think if you're like persistent and keep at it, it's definitely possible. And yeah, I think you can do it without background.
So when did this all start? When was the first 42 schools like started?
I don't know.
I'm
not sure.
Have you met anybody who completed it?
I haven't met anyone personally who completed it. I met some like current students who've been there for a little while, that are maybe getting close to doing their internship. So basically after you do an internship, you complete the inner circle, and then you do an internship, and then they kind of like consider you as completing the program, and you can come back to study more if you want. They have some extra things.
So it can last almost like indefinite time.
Yeah, it seems like that. I don't know if they have a cutoff at some point where you can't access, but yeah, it's can last a while. I think it's really driven at your own pace as well. Like they kind of want you to keep pace, I think, with the students who start around the time you do. But it's really driven by how quickly you get them done as well, I think. So some people maybe take more time or decide to do more projects or something, so they can stretch the studies out a little bit longer.
Do you know who started all this?
I don't know. I can look it up. But yeah, I know the first one was in Paris, but I'm not sure exactly who was starting it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And we don't know when, so we cannot know how fast it has been growing, but it's popular now. If just Helsinki has 130 students, that's pretty good.
Mm-hmm. And the one in Hive Helsinki just started in 2019, I think, is when they first opened. So it's fairly new for here. It's only a few years old.
Mm-hmm. So what else do you have to say about? Maybe
I don't know.
Maybe some like the coolest things you you did or experienced or.
Well, probably one of the things that I really wanted to do when I first moved here was to learn more about like mushroom picking. I was so excited about this. I was like, yes, because I had some idea that like everyone knows how to like what mushrooms they should have, or what mushrooms are good for eating, and I can like go and explore the forest. That's why when I came to Ivalo and I was excited to even get out and pick the blueberries, I was like, yes. Because, living more in the city, I'm sure there's like things around there, but it's a little more removed. And coming to like, Lapland is much more like in touch with nature, like really in it. So.
But also in Helsinki, you sometimes go out of the city and go find some mushrooms or berries.
Yeah, that's true. But I think I was a little hesitant to do it by myself, and like I didn't know anybody when I came here, and then maybe some Finnish people I met like when I first moved, they were kind of like, I don't really know about those things. And so they weren't really interested in going out and like picking things from the forest.
And do you pick enough to put some to the freezer, or you eat everything fresh? Because I think almost every person here has some berries in their fridge or freezer. Mm-hmm. Do you also now save berries for the winter?
That's what I have been doing here, yeah. Well, with Ausha, we have prepared many jams and maybe some other frozen berries and some things. And we were able to go out and actually pick some mushrooms and learn about them a bit. From some of her friends here.
So healthy food is one benefit of living in Finland. You can go out to the forest and pick it up yourself.
Yeah, exactly where it has been growing, and that's been getting nice and clean air and.
And I guess one of the benefits is clean water. Like even in Helsinki, it's the biggest city. You can drink the tap water, and it's clean.
Yeah, that's true.
Like in many cities of Europe, it's not drinkable. Mm-hmm. Like you maybe have to boil it first, but we don't have this problem here.
Yeah, it's definitely a nice thing. It's funny. It makes me think about, I lived in Korea for a couple years, and I didn't realize I wasn't supposed to drink the tap water. So I was drinking it, and then I told someone, they're like, what are you doing? Don't do it. Because not every place, but most places in the US, you can drink the tap water. It's okay. But yeah. So I just assumed that's the case there and was drinking it. And I was scolded very firmly not to do that.
But nothing bad happened to you.
No, I not as far as I know. It was a couple years ago, so
maybe you got some superpowers.
Maybe. But yeah, the water's very, very good. Maybe I live in a newer building that doesn't have any like strange taste or anything, but it's also very cold too. You can get the very cold and very hot water from the tap. I don't know if I've experienced such hot water coming from a tap than I have here in Finland. Do you know what I mean?
Yes, I guess that's because here every house has a big how would you call tank where the hot water is reserved. So it's like boiling hot almost in this tank. So so you can get very hot water from the tap. And those tanks are for the very cold winters. But so how has it been the winters in Helsinki? It gets pretty cold because the wind comes from the sea.
Yeah, I think actually I went to like Suomenlinna with Ausra before she came up to Ivalo for the first time. We went on a walk around, the old castle, and it was so cold and like icy, and and there's just chunks of ice in the sea. You can see them. So yeah, it was quite cold. I think this past winter maybe there was just a few days where it was like -17 in Helsinki where I lived. But not too many days like that. But after that, the rest of the winter didn't seem so cold.
So it's manageable with enough clothes.
Oh yeah, I think so. I think a good hat, a good coat, and it's all right. Maybe just like if it gets a really cold wind, just like press your eyes together so that they unfreeze.
So all the people who are thinking about moving to Finland, don't be too afraid of the cold. You will survive.
I think they will survive. It was not so bad. I think maybe the worst part in Helsinki was actually transitioning to spring when all of the ice is melting and gets very slippery.
Yes.
Maybe you need the kind of cleats to put on your shoes so you're not falling.
Yes, and when the snow starts melting, it will be very wet to walk, so you will maybe get your shoes wet.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe some waterproof shoes
is recommended. So what else about your experience in Finland? Or should we be wrapping up?
The what?
If you have something more to tell, or we will wrap up this episode.
I just want to say that before I came to Finland, everyone told me that Finnish people are very, they're very shy. They're not very friendly or something. I hear this a lot.
At least not compared to United States, where everybody is your best friend at first sight.
Depends where you are in the United States, I think. So I'm from Washington State, and then I also lived in quite close to where I grew up. Actually, where I lived in Canada was actually quite close to where I'm from in the U.S. So I think the city cultures are a little similar, maybe, but I think not everyone is so friendly as people say. I think people will be friendly to your face. They will be very agreeable.
Yeah,
things.
in things like customer service and this.
Yeah. But then not even customer service, maybe somebody that you meet, or somebody you've known just a few times. They'll be nice to you, but then they'll just ignore you otherwise. And if you ask for help, they aren't necessarily able to help. Whereas or willing to help is maybe a better way to say it. It depends on the person, of course. But I would say my experience with just Finnish people is that maybe they're a little more reserved in overall. Not everyone, but maybe a little more reserved. But I think if you need to, ask for help with something, or I don't know, if you just, take some time to get to know them, they're actually really nice and really friendly. And even if they don't know you and you just needed to ask for help, I think they're very open to give you help. And very genuinely, it feels like it's a very, very genuinely, they're wanting to go out of their way to make sure you find the right thing. And even in the customer service, like if I call some government agency and I'm trying to find this thing or do this thing, and it's the wrong place, they will go out of your way to figure out what is the right place I need to be going to. Where in some cases, like in Canada and the US, they just be, it's not me, I'm done. I think they're very kind in that way. I think Finnish people are very kind. Yeah.
And do you notice some things about yourself that are becoming very Finnish?
I don't.
At least the mushroom and berry picking.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, mushroom and berry picking. Hopefully that will continue.
Did you always have that in your mind that you want to do that, or was it something you became excited about once you came here?
I think it's something I've always kind of been interested in, at least especially the mushrooms. I think growing up, I picked a lot of berries and things and like that. But I think for some reason the mushrooms always seemed like an extra, special, cool. And I always hear, in Finland or Europe, they're all about mushroom picking for some reason. So yeah, I think that's definitely something that's new that I was kind of looking forward to once we decided we were going to come here.
And now it's very good season to go pick up some mushrooms.
Mm-hmm. And I heard it's a very excellent year for it. The weather's been very good.
Mm-hmm. At least I found some.
Yeah, we found quite a lot, and I've been learning. Another friend of ours that we got to meet coming up here, a little more south from Ivalo. She was able to kind of teach us a lot about the different mushrooms in the area, and we picked quite a few and learned how to prepare them, to freeze them for the winter and things. So it's been quite good.
So let's fill up our reserves of berries and mushrooms and start preparing for the winter. The winter is coming, and it will be long and dark.
And dark, yes.
How have you been dealing with the darkness at winter and here you will have 24/7 hours light? Is it difficult, or you adapted?
I think I adapted okay. I might invest in one of the sun lamps for this next winter. We might see. And definitely invested in some blackout curtains for the light.
Mm-hmm. So here has been some tips for the people who are planning to move to Finland. Do you have something else, final words about that in your mind?
I don't know.
What do you think? What kind of person is Finland a great place to be? Do you have to be interested in nature, or is it also a great place for city-loving people, or something like that?
Okay. No, I think it's kind of good for maybe everyone.
I hope so.
Definitely people who, if you want to live in Helsinki area, like I do, I think you have, access to anything you would want in a city. I think it's a really interesting city. It's really easy to get around. There's some good architecture, some interesting places to see, a lot of events happening, I think. And but it's also still very close to nature. It's right on the sea, and there's a lot of green spaces and parks. And even if you live just a little bit outside the city, you can kind of feel like you're not in a big city, but you can easily access the big city. So I think it's quite nice to, if you kind of want to mix between the two, you can live there.
And it is still quite international place to be. It's not on the edge of the world.
Yeah, not on the edge of the world. And it is good to learn Finnish. I need to work on learning more, but you really can get around speaking some English around Helsinki area. And actually even up north, it seems like a lot of people still, speak some English, so quite a bit.
Even this interview is in English.
Even, yeah.
So I guess that's a good place to wrap up. So let's hope for great stay for you here in Finland, and let's hope this episode motivated some people to, if they had any plans to move to Finland. Now this is the time to get up and do it. So I guess let's say bye to everybody and what?
Bye. Yeah.
Yeah, welcome to Finland.
Mm.